Hello, it's me, Mike, with HPDS. This video will be a reading and a study of Leviticus chapter 3. Leviticus chapter 3. And as I do these videos, normally I'll go ahead and start off reading the Lord's Prayer for us. So this is a prayer. It reads, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Okay, so chapter 3 of Leviticus, if you remember the previous two chapters, what is going on is that God is now giving instructions on how to make certain sacrifices and offerings. So if you remember Leviticus 1, that was about the burnt offerings. Leviticus 2 was the meat offerings. And chapter 3 here, Leviticus 3, is going to be the peace offerings. So what I'll go ahead and do is I'll give a quick outline, show the outline here. Let's see. And it is Leviticus 3, the peace offerings. And what we're looking for in this chapter, it's a chapter of about 17 verses. The first 5, 1 through 5, is going to be the offerings of the herd. Verses 6 through 11 is going to go over the offerings of a lamb. And verses 12 through 17 are going to be the offerings of a goat. And so these are peace offerings. When somebody wanted to make peace, this is what they would do, is they would have to make these kinds of sacrifices there in the temple. And that is how God was giving these laws to these people. Just like in today's modern system, if you get a ticket, for example, a cop pulls you over, gives you a speeding ticket, whatever, you have to go pay a fine. If you have, that's what this is kind of like. So we're going to go ahead and if somebody wanted to make peace, they would come and they would make these kinds of sacrifices. And what I'll do, as normal per these videos, is I will go ahead and read through the chapter. And then I'll just read straight through, and then I'll come back and reread it line by line and kind of discuss each line as the Holy Spirit comes to me. So I'll go ahead and get started with that right now. So Leviticus chapter 3 reads, And if his oblation be a sacrifice of peace offering, if he offer it of the herd, whether it be a male or female, he shall offer it without blemish before the Lord. And he shall lay his hand upon the head of his offering, and kill it at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And Aaron's sons, the priests, shall sprinkle the blood upon the altar round about. And he shall offer of the sacrifice of the peace offering an offering made by fire unto the Lord, the fat that covereth the inwards, and all the fat that is upon the inwards, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them, which is by the flanks, and the caul above the liver, with the kidneys it shall he take away. And Aaron's sons shall burn it on the altar upon the burnt sacrifice, which is upon the wood that is on the fire. It is an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto the Lord. And if his offering for a sacrifice of peace offering unto the Lord be of the flock, male or female, he shall offer it without blemish. If he offer a lamb for his offering, then shall he offer it before the Lord. And he shall lay his hand upon the head of his offering, and kill it before the tabernacle of the congregation. And Aaron's sons shall sprinkle the blood thereof round about upon the altar. And he shall offer of the sacrifice of the peace offering an offering made by fire unto the Lord, the fat thereof, and the whole rump. It shall he take off hard by the backbone, and the fat that covereth the inwards, and all the fat that is upon the inwards. And the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, which is by the flanks, and the caul above the liver, with the kidneys, it shall he take away. And the priest shall burn it upon the altar. It is the food of the offering made by fire unto the Lord. And if his offering be a goat, then he shall offer it before the Lord. And he shall lay his hand upon the head of it, and kill it before the tabernacle of the congregation. And the sons of Aaron shall sprinkle the blood thereof upon the altar round about. And he shall offer thereof his offering, even an offering made by fire unto the Lord, the fat that covereth the inwards, and all the fat that is upon the inwards, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, which is by the flanks, and the caul above the liver, with the kidneys, it shall he take away. And the priest shall burn them upon the altar. It is the food of the offering made by fire for a sweet savor. All the fat is the Lord's. It shall be a perpetual statute for your generations throughout all your dwellings, that ye eat neither fat nor blood. All right, that was Leviticus chapter 3 in its entirety. And so what did we read through? It was 17 verses, and remember, it was offerings of the herd, there's offerings of a lamb, and there's offerings of a goat. And if you recall, there's a certain thing, there's, all of these, the kidneys, the fat is upon them, the flanks, you gotta take all these away, and then you're good, and they burn stuff. And remember, this is all being done in the tabernacle of the Lord. And if you remember the tabernacle of the Lord, I'll go ahead and pull some of those pictures up. I know I have them around here. The tabernacle, and I'll bring these up as I go through this. But let me go ahead and reread it, and we'll kind of get it closer into go more into depth with what this is and what they are doing. And so remember, this is, if somebody wanted to make peace, they would come to the Lord's tabernacle. And if you remember, this is kind of a diagram of what's going on here. They had this kind of wall, this whole fence area. Remember, it was made, they were explained how to make it back in Exodus. And when you came into this is the wrong one. That's the tabernacle complex. First, when you walked in from the gate, you came to the altar, and then you came to the laver, and then you came to the holy place, which is what this picture was showing. But they're making these sacrifices and oblations here. They're still in the bronze altar. We haven't even really gotten into this holy place yet. Right now, these first few chapters are just coming to make sacrifices and peace offerings, and that's what this is, a peace offering. Remember, and if his oblation be a sacrifice of peace offering, if he offer it of the herd, whether it be a male or female, he shall offer it without blemish before the Lord. Keep that in mind. The first 2 chapters, I believe these offerings had to be males. Let me see. Let's see. In chapter 1, Leviticus 1, verse what verse is this? Verse 2, I think. It reads, verse 3. If his offering be a burnt sacrifice of the herd, let him offer a male without blemish. And that's back in chapter 1. Chapter 2, I think, is also talking about male. And so, let's see. I think that's also, not really finding it right now, skimming over it, but I believe those are males, and now we're moving into, it can be male or female of the horde, but it shall be without blemish. And that is something that's interesting. It's without blemish, meaning these aren't like junky cattle. These aren't sickly herd creatures that you come. You don't bring something sickly before the Lord to offer it as a sacrifice or as an offering. You bring one that's in good shape and without blemish. A healthy sacrifice. Because these are going to God. So keep in mind that these people are offering a real life to the Lord, and the Lord is real. And this is something that a lot of people don't want to believe. In this day and age, we have a lot of issues with belief. And so people don't believe in God. And these people were being taught that. Remember, they were in the desert. If you remember reading through Exodus, they went through the desert. God was there with them in the desert, and they saw the pillar. They saw all kinds of miracles. Remember, they have the Exodus. If you remember the 10 plagues that were put upon the Pharaoh and those in the Egyptians, and his Egyptian people. But remember, these people have seen God. They have seen his work in action. They saw fire. They saw water come out of the stone. They saw they were given the manna. They walked through the Red Sea. They saw the firstborn of all the Egyptians die. Not to mention the sun was darkened out for like 3 days or something. Back in Exodus. These people saw miracles, so they know that God is real. They were at the mountain. When they came to the mountain, they also saw it shaking and all kinds of, it was on fire. Noah walked up. I mean, not Noah, but Moses walked up there. And these people saw something amazing, and they know that God is real. So belief wasn't even an issue with them. You see something, they knew it was real. And now they were kind of learning what it meant to give him things. And remember, when they finished making this tabernacle, God came to, he spoke with Moses right at the entrance, and he filled the whole tabernacle complex as a smoke, and went into the Holy of Holies right here. So he's back in here, and they know he's back there, but they don't know exactly what kind of entity God is, for lack of a better word. These people know he's back there, and now they're being given these rules on how to interact with him, and they are being told, remember, something without blemish. And that is also coming from the past few chapters as well, where they were supposed to, all these sacrifices have to be without blemish. But moving on to this, and he shall lay his hand upon the head of his offering and kill it at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and Aaron's sons, the priest, shall sprinkle the blood upon the altar round about. So once again, they're coming here. They have to make this sacrifice. If you could see where my mouse is, right on this red, this is kind of indicating the fence here. They would make the sacrifice here. Remember that. And you had to lay your head on the offering, kill it at the door of the tabernacle. And Aaron's sons, the priests, came and they took the blood and they sprinkled it round about the altar. And so remember, here's that bronze altar that they're going to do all this on. And he shall offer of the sacrifice of the peace offering an offering made by fire unto the Lord. So you're burning this. This is a sacrifice of peace. You're going to burn this creature. You killed it. Now you're going to, the fat that covereth the inwards, and all the fat that is upon the inwards, you're going to, that's what you're going to start burning all this, made by fire. And then you also, so you get all the fat. And then moving into verse 4, let's go on here. Verse 5, 1 through 5 is the herd. So let's keep going. So verse 4, and the 2 kidneys and the fat that is on them, which is by the flanks, and the caul above their liver with the kidneys, it shall he take away. So these people are now cutting up a body. So this is not unnormal. This is what they had to do. This is what we still, in this day and age, we do this in order to, this is not barbaric. A lot of times people, they accuse these ancient people of being like barbaric or stupid or something along those lines, or they didn't have any knowledge. But here they are. They definitely know what the inside of bodies look like. So they are, and they know how to cut into them. So here we have people that are able to be, in the least, at the very least, they're butchers. So people know how to be butchers. They know what God is already. They know how to make their meat, their food. So God, remember, if you know the rest of the Bible, if you've been to church and you kind of got an idea and concept of what God is, He is a father. So here, remember, this is Him teaching. He's given them laws. He's given He's taught them really what a bad leader was when He showed them how Pharaoh was. So now He's got them. Remember, He didn't want to let them leave. Remember, so now He's got them in the wilderness, and God is now being like a father. And for lack of, if you got a father, if you ever been maybe going camping, and it's kind of silly to make that kind of comparison, obviously, but here He is teaching them, making sure they know how to live with their government, make their sacrifices, and on top of that, they also know how to to butcher and eat and all this, because they're feeding. They're going to be giving a lot of this to Aaron's sons. Remember, they have to pay their dues to Aaron's sons. So this is how they're learning to respect their government, learning to respect their father, and also making sure they know how to provide. And by providing, first off, know how to, eat, how to cook, how to make something to eat and survive in the very least. Let's see. So the kidneys, the fat, all of this is burning, and Aaron's son shall burn it on the altar upon the burnt sacrifice, which is upon the wood that is on the fire. It is an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto the Lord. So after they kill it over here, they get all the fat and all the inner kind of parts, and they sprinkle the blood right here. They put it in there and they burn it there. That's what Aaron's sons are burning it. And if we move into verse 6, that's when we begin to get our offerings of a lamb here. So, and if his offering for a sacrifice of peace offering unto the Lord be of the flock. So here we have the words flock and herd, and then a goat. Flock, herd, and goat. So the flock here is, it seems as though this is the lamb. This is the lamb, and the herd would be more of the bigger creatures, I suppose, the cows, the cattle type situation here, and then this here. And so I know these words are kind of, I find them when I come across them. These are old. This is translated from an old language with, ancient words instead of modern words. And so it's the best I can understand it. So if herd seems to be of the cattle, here we're moving into the flock, which seems to be the lambs, the sheep, and so forth. And if his offering be of the flock, male or female, he shall offer it without blemish. And here again, they're making sure without blemish. I also kind of feel like I'm focusing on this flock and herd. That means it feels like these words clearly have some sort of distinction, that when they wrote it, they understood it to be, like if we said a chicken farm compared to a cow farm, we would know the difference, and we could call like a dairy, for example, or a ranch, but these are different words that they seem to understand, and they made a distinction, even though I can't, because I don't have herds or flocks, and I've never really been a kind of person that's been around those kinds of animals, so I really wouldn't know. So I'm just having to point that out for some reason. The Holy Spirit seems I feel like I need to point that out for whatever reason. But moving on, if he offer a lamb for his offering, then shall he offer it before the Lord. So you come before the Lord. Let's see. So if you're offering a lamb, and for some reason they would have made these distinctions. Also, I suppose a cattle would be more expensive than maybe a lamb, because it's a bigger creature. Maybe it's more of a, if you really need peace, you go for the big stuff. Here's maybe a smaller peace offering that maybe, what we would distinguish as I don't know, just the levels and how bad peace is necessary between. So, for example, I imagine these peace offerings where if you were having an issue with your neighbor or with a family member perhaps, and y'all were getting at it and you were angry with each other, and you knew, things were getting violent or just, damaging to a relationship, I suppose this is when you would come to God to make these kinds of peace offerings. Or you say, I'm tired of fighting with my friend over here, with my, my brother over here. I'm going to go to God and ask God for a peace offering. Giving him a peace offering, praying for peace between me and my brother over here. And he shall lay his hand upon the head of his offering. So you're killing the lamb, you put your head upon it, and you put your hand upon the head and kill it before the tabernacle of the congregation. So again, same thing. And Aaron's son sprinkled the blood thereof round about upon the altar. Pretty much the exact same thing as the last, back in verse 2. So that's 8 and 2 are pretty much the same. And then we go into 9. I guess 9 and 3 are pretty much kind of the same too, right? And he shall offer of the sacrifice of the peace offering an offering made by fire unto the Lord, the fat thereof, and the whole rump. it shall he take off hard by the backbone. Ooh, and the fat that covereth the inwards, and all the fat that is upon the inwards. So again, you're going to take this peace offering, you're going to burn it. You're going to burn it with the fat, and you're going to burn it with the whole rump, meaning, so none of this is actually going to Aaron's sons. Like, for example, if you remember in chapter 2, remember they took the memorial. So they took some of the food here. But if you're making peace, the whole thing seems to be going. Nobody's eating it. It's going all to God. The fat, the whole rump, it shall he take off hard by the backbone. So you're getting all that whole rump and the fat. And all the fat that is upon the inward, you're getting all this stuff, all the good portions of the death, the kill, the body here and they're getting all that good stuff and burning it. And again, and the 2 kidneys, the fat, which is by the flanks, the caul above the liver with the kidneys. You're burning all that stuff, and I imagine all of this was pretty useful to these ancient people. I remember hearing that you can make bags, all kinds of stuff that they could do with their ropes, with their kind of, and you could eat it, obviously, and oils, the fat, and for candles, and all kinds of soaps, and all kinds of things that you can actually do with, if you know what you're doing. It's pretty obvious. Everybody's done it for all of time. And the priest shall burn it upon the altar. It is the food of the offering made by the fire unto the Lord. So again, you kill it, sprinkle the blood, and they burn it right here, all of that. But none of this goes to the priests, as like chapter 2, I believe, is the one that had the memorials. Let's see. Now we're moving on to the last few verses, 12 through 17. We're offering the goat. So, and if his offering be a goat, I think the goat is still part of the flock. Or maybe it isn't. See, we got it's hard to know for me, honestly, but we do have these distinctions, obviously, and it's pretty much the same thing. You're going to offer it before the Lord. You're going to lay your hand upon the head of it and kill it before the tabernacle of the congregation, and the sons of Aaron shall sprinkle the blood thereof upon the altar round about. So, like I said, this God is, the way this is written is definitely pointing at 3 times. You're made sure this is what exactly is happening. You're killing it, sprinkling the blood, putting the innards on top, and burning it. And this is your offering to God. Excuse me. And remember, let's see. These all should be. Let's see. Where am I at? You're killing it. All the sons shall, and he shall offer thereof his offering, even an offering made by fire unto the Lord, the fat that covereth the inwards, and all the fat that is upon the inwards. So again, all the fat. The fats are very important. God is really making that point. Let's see. And the blood, obviously, too, because you're sprinkling it on the altar, round about the altar. And it says, again, moving on, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, which is by the flanks, and the caul above the liver with the kidneys, it shall he take away. And the priest shall burn them on the altar. It is the food of the offering made by fire for a sweet savor. All the fat is the Lord's. All the fat is the Lord's. That is a huge statement, in my opinion. All the fat is the Lord's. And it shall be a perpetual statute for your generations throughout all your dwellings, that you eat neither fat nor blood. So God, like I said, he is giving them statutes. And remember, these are the ancient children of Israel. This is not pertain to me or you reading this. It doesn't even pertain, to most people in this world. It only really pertained to these people that were given this, and they were making a covenant. And that covenant is not the same covenant that you and I have with Jesus Christ, because Jesus was the new covenant, obviously. But they were given this perpetual statute that they had to make all these, if they were going to get peace, if they wanted peace, all they had to do was make a sacrifice. It was that simple. It's not like it was difficult. They were doing this kind of stuff every day. It was happening. Everybody was eating. They were all making, just like today in our day and age, cattle, lambs, goats, they get slaughtered every single day. God was simply saying, if you want to make peace, or, in the previous chapters too, if you need to make a burnt offering, or if you need to make a meat offering, or then we're also going to cover sin offerings and trespass offerings in the next couple of chapters too. So different kind of offerings for different kinds of issues. But these are statutes, so this is the basis of the government that the Lord has gave to the children of Israel. So just as the United States of America has a government, the Lord established a government through these children, Aaron's sons over here. They were the government, the Levites. And, here he is showing them their law. He's giving them their law. Remember in Exodus this happened. We had the 10 commandments, and now we have more statutes, and in this day and age, I would simply say, like I said, it's like our court system. Not exactly, but kind of similar in that if you cause an offense, you had to pay a fine, and this is what that is. You took, if something happened, you took something from you took cattle, you took a lamb, you took a goat, something that you could eat, something that you could use, and you made a sacrifice to God in this tabernacle, because God was claiming that he was a real entity. He was a real being. He was really there. Even though the people did not notice him or understand him or see him to be a human. They knew he existed. They did not understand how he existed, how he lived. They saw him as smoke. They saw him as fire. They saw, they felt him as earthquakes. They saw him sitting in heaven. They saw so many things they could not possibly understand how he was like a human, because to them, he was not a human. He was God. He was, like I said, an entity. And we today, in this day and age, can't, like I said, as I pointed out earlier, there's that belief issue, and people do not believe, this entity exists. And this whole Bible is based off of this entity and Jesus Christ, how he eventually came in the form of Jesus Christ. Because right now he's just what like I said, I've called it, we would call it like nature. He was nature. He was natural phenomenon is what he appeared to be. Like I said, pillar of smoke, a cloud of smoke, a pillar of fire, earthquake. He was some sort of, like I said, natural phenomena is what we'd call it. The lightning and thunder, that's natural phenomenon. But God was in control of it. He was it. And, later on in the book of John in the New Testament, it does say, he was, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And so he is the Word that manifested himself. And so that's exactly what it is. And if you remember back in Genesis, the whole Bible starts off, he said, let there be light, and there was light, and so forth. So he was a Word that manifested himself. And here he is beginning to manifest himself in what we see as natural phenomena. But nonetheless, he was some form of government. And when these people made these sacrifices, these things really went to God in one way or another, is what he's gonna begin to claim and speak and talk about. Like, it is going to him. These things now belong to God. Even though it looks like death to us, you killed an animal. It is still alive, and it is now in a form that God has. God, it's for God, and you gave it to God. That is what is going on here. Anyway, kind of a short chapter, and I made it kind of into a longer video just because it just seemed to work out that way. So, but I'm going to go ahead and end this video now. This has been Leviticus chapter 3, the peace offerings. And so that's all I'm going to go ahead. I'll just go ahead and say, if you like what I'm doing, please go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel. And I'll, keep putting out more chapter by chapter Bible study, because I do believe that the Bible is the most important historical document in existence. Actually, beyond that, nothing else really matters. Everything else, if you know this Bible, you can look into the world and you can see exactly what the world is doing to trick us, because they want to make us believe in all kinds of silly notions, all kinds of scientific reasonings that are just based off of nonsense, that are based off of historically inaccurate information. This is the history. This is the real history. There's really a country out there called Israel today. It is a major player in the world stage. And the end of the Bible does begin to explain that the whole world goes to war with Israel. And then Israel, God is going to return when this happens, and he will fight for Israel because of these people written about in the Bible, not because of the people of Israel today, not for their sakes, but for their ancestors' sakes, for their fathers, these people that lived thousands and thousands of years ago. God made a promise with them, with this covenant, and they overall didn't fulfill it, and Jesus Christ came and made a new covenant. But these people still had a covenants that God that he made to Abraham that were unbreakable, that he made to, he made these, to Abraham and Israel himself. He made these, they were these covenants with he would not go back on them, for their sakes, not because of the people today. And so the people of Israel, I know if you go to them, a lot of them don't necessarily believe that Jesus was anything important to them, that he was just another prophet or whatever. But anyway, that is what's going to happen. And it's pretty obvious now, because if you know what's going on in the world stage, what was happening in Syria, and even recently with Lebanon, and obviously what happened with Iraq, and how they were building how they were building Babylon again, I believe under Saddam Hussein and all that. This is very important. It's all historical, and like I said, I believe the Bible is the most important historical document, and it is the only important. Everything outside of it is pretty much nonsense for the most part. But anyway, I pray that we all bless Jesus Christ, and may Jesus Christ bless all of us. Amen.